Musco Center. We have with us Mr. and Mrs. Musco, Mary Bell and Paul. Thank you. So today I'm going to offer the state of the university. I'm glad it's not the State of the Union, because this crowd seems much more friendly than the one that you find in Congress. Now, as a scholar, we are used that when we want to give a presentation, we usually have an abstract that we send to the organizers for the presentation to be accepted. And I have the abstract for this particular presentation. The state of the university is very good. So if you are in a hurry, you need to catch lunch, or you just want to go read the paper, that's the content of my presentation. Now, if you're curious a little bit more about what I'm going to say about it, why is it good, then you can hang around for the next 50 or so minutes. So we know that the university is doing very well. We feel it. We talk with our students, with our parents, and we have this sense that we are really doing a very good job. But we can always improve, and we know that. It's one of our abilities to constantly rethink what we're doing. And so we hired a firm to tell us a little bit what people think about us. And they did research, both locally and nationally. And what they found out is something that, to be honest, did not surprise me very much, though may not have been what we wanted to hear. And is that people know that Chapman is a very good school, but they don't quite know why. And I'll tell you my typical interaction. I go to a party, to an event, and I meet somebody new, we shake hands, and say, I'm the president of Chapman University. The first response is, oh my goodness, you guys are so good. You have done so much, you've grown so well, really a wonderful institution. And then I usually say, well, thank you, that's very kind of you. For example, we have our new, the Schmidt College of Science and Technology has done some incredible work. And the person says, oh, you have a science college? Oh, I didn't know that, I didn't realize that. Yeah, no, we have a wonderful science college. Oh, that's wonderful, that's great to hear. Or whatever other example I give. So the joke that I always use with my friends is that, like, when you meet a friend and you say, I just met Joe, and they say, oh, Joe is a great guy. And you say, well, why is he a great guy? Well, he's a great guy. Well, what specialty does he have to make him a great guy? That, I think, is a little bit where we are with Chapman. People sense that we are a great institution. But what we need to do is really to show that we must do more than just create and transfer knowledge. We must really convince our constituencies that we deliver an experience that is transformative for our students. And because it's transformative for our students, it's transformative for our community. The university doesn't live in an isolation. Everything we do for our students is because they're going to go out in the community and change and transform and improve and grow. And this experience is what we like to call the Chapman experience. And the point of our branding exercise here is to make sure that we all speak with a single voice that is clear, compelling, and consistent. We need to know who we are, and we need to make sure that this message is repeated and clearly communicated at every level, so that when I meet with people, they will tell me, Chapman is a great place. And in fact, I know of the work that you're doing in our Atanla College of Educational Studies. Your faculty have been teaching for our high school here, and they've been helping them. Or the work you're doing with Massimo in pharmaceutical products from our pharmacy school, or whatever other thing it is, and how this work is transformative for the community that lies around us.
There's something that brings each of us to Chapman University. It calls us here. To the edge of a coast, to the end of a continent, on the brink of a discovery. At the intersection of untapped possibility and untamed potential, big ideas are born. That's why each of us is here. We're here to make something. Our scientific breakthroughs, our business models, our lines of code, our symphonies, our nonprofits, and our films, to explore every option as we discover what inspires us. We're here to put in the time, hours in the lab, days in the studio, weeks abroad, months in the field, years in a community that works together and challenges each of us to do more. We're here to become more, to experiment boldly, act thoughtfully, live beautifully, explore tirelessly. And we're here to see what we can do, so that when we take the stage, walk on the set, approach the lectern, lead a team, make a scientific breakthrough, help those in need, envision the future we see for ourselves, we'll have every experience at Chapman inside us, every lesson we learned within us, every inspiring person behind us. Everything will become in front of us. And when the world asks us what we can do, we answer, anything imaginable.
There are several things that I like about this message. The first one, which I know will resonate with my colleagues in the classroom, is that we put the attention on the fact that while Chapman is a great place where you're going to have a wonderful experience, it's a place where you have to put hard work. That's what we want our students to realize as we move into this national institution, an institution that can compare itself with some of the greatest institutions of this country. Our students need to know that it takes hard work. You heard the reference to the hours in the lab and the days in the studios and the weeks in the field, or not the month in the field and the week somewhere else. The point is, we are committing to you a remarkable transformational experience. You need to do the work. And that, to me, is a very important message. The second message I really like very much about this is this emphasis on imagination. Imagination really is what allows us to transform things. We have busts on our campus, and if you look at each one of the busts, they will tell you of a person who was able to imagine something that appeared to be unimaginable. One of my favorites is Marie Curie, maybe because I'm a scientist myself, and she was able to imagine that she could take this radioactive material, pitch blende, and take a ton of it. Now imagine a ton, and out of it, she came out with 1 gram already. 1 gram of a new element. That got her, obviously, the first Nobel Prize. She then went on and got a second one. But the imagination behind that idea, the capability of thinking that this could be something we could do. Or look at, if you look at the entrepreneurial world, people like Elon Musk. That is imagining the ability of landing a rocket vertically. I don't know about you, but I'm a huge fan of Twilight Zone. I grew up with the Twilight Zone. And when you watch the Twilight Zone, that's how the rockets come back. You remember? They come back vertically, because that makes a lot of sense. But then, for a variety of reasons that my friends from physics and material science could explain, we never did that. We sent stuff in space, we threw away almost everything, and then we came back with a little capsule and a little parachute. But no, our creators, our movie directors have envisioned that, in fact, the rocket should go down the way it went up, and that's now what happened with Elon Musk's work. And what about our writers? What about our poets, our movie directors, our teachers in the classroom, our scientists, our composers? Imagination is what really propels us. So I really like that tone in this description of what we do, anything imaginable. And finally, the part that I like the most, I have to confess, is this notion of stepping up on the stage. And I know you all know what I'm talking about. There has been, for all of us in our lives, a moment, multiple moments, in which you have to get there on the stage. And you have to perform, as we heard before, or you have to do something in front of a crowd that you don't know. It could be the first job interview. It could be your first sales pitch. It could be a proposal you're making to the director of your lab for a new idea that you hope your director will find it interesting. And there are 2 ways to approach those moments. You can approach the moment and feel alone. You're there, you know a lot of stuff, and now you have these people in front of you and you hope that they will kind of support what you have. Or, and that's what we are committing to our students here, you walk up there on the stage and behind you, you have everything that people have been working to take you there. It's the old idea of standing on the shoulder of giants. You get there and your professors are with you, your classmates are with you. Those that you quote or papers are with you. Everybody's there to support you and to give you the ability to perform at the level that you need to. I really like those messages, and I think that that's what's going to make our experience here at Chapman very special. Now, I'm not a marketing person, so I put this slide on just to remind me what we're talking about, because, you know, I'm a mathematician, so in math we don't do much marketing. And the point is that the brand is really the promise. What are we promising our students? That's, I think, what we're promising them. We're promising them a transformational experience and the creation of a team behind them that will be with them forever. That will be with them in every difficult, challenging moment of their career. And the Chapman experience is the way in which we actually deliver on that promise. If you make a promise, you need to deliver. And that's what the Chapman experience is going to be. Now, to better learn how this is done, we asked one of the most famous brands in the world to help us out. It's a brand that every one of you knows. It's one of the most successful brands that really has been able to expand from their humble origin in Anaheim to the rest of the world. And that's a Disney brand. Now, Disney has an institute, they call the Disney Institute, that really helps other institutions, other companies to understand and develop the kind of experience that is necessary. Now, you may think, okay, this is something just for big corporations, but in fact it's not. Many high-quality universities have recruited the Disney Institute to help and refine what they do. And I'll just give you a couple of examples. The University of Chicago has been, and I point there because I see President Emeritus Jim Doty, that hails from Chicago. Duke University, Georgetown University. So these are major institutions that have taken advantage of these ideas. And we will be working with them over the next 3 years to refine the way in which we connect with everybody. How do we keep our promise with the students? How do we keep our promise with our staff and faculty when we hire them? We are committing, when we hire a faculty, to creating for them an intellectual experience, an intellectual community that will allow to grow and to really do the best. Are we keeping that promise? Are we really representing the truth to them? That's why all of this is important. What about our donors? We are telling our donors, we need your money to do this and that. How much are we actually representing of that? And that's what they're going to help us to do. And speaking about the Disney, I want to give a special thanks to the voiceover, Roger Craig Smith, who is one of our alumni. He's the person that was reading and talking about our Chapman experience. I think he's here today. I'm not sure. Is Craig here? No, he didn't make it. So anyway, we still thank him for what he has done for us. So everybody says that Chapman is on an upward trajectory. What does it mean? I'm going to try to give you very few slides to describe what do we mean when we say that. The first slide is a business one, so to speak. It's a financial one. It talks about our net assets. If you want the easiest way to judge the fiscal stability, the financial strength of an institution, is your assets minus your debt, is the net worth of the institution, so to speak. And you see this number, very beautiful numbers, as another president would say, these are beautiful numbers. The net asset as of May 2017 are in excess of $900 million, and I hope that the next state of the university next year to be able to claim that we passed the $1 billion figure. These are very positive results, and maybe what is particularly remarkable here is the fact that last year was actually the biggest jump ever in the history of the university, with more than $80 million of growth in our net assets. These net assets don't come by chance. They come because of very strong fiscal responsibility that senior staff, the trustees, the deans, and everybody here on campus puts in place. But also are built on the tremendous success we have in terms of attracting students. And this is really something that is not happening in the nation. Just this morning when I woke up, a friend of mine, a colleague, Rafael Luevano, a professor of our religious studies, sent me an article from Wall Street Journal. The article shows how universities are suffering, how colleges are struggling. And yet we are really back in the tendency. If you look here, you see that this year, fall 18, is going to be the largest class, the largest number of admission we ever had, tying for what we did 3 years ago. And if you look at the very first bar, that's when I came here in 2006. And I remember coming here and knowing that we had more than 5,000 admission for maybe 900 spots, and I thought that was a lot. But obviously, we have been able to do way better than that. And in correspondence of this success in terms of admission, our enrollment has grown. Last year probably grown a little more than we wanted to, and so in our new strategic plan, we are purposely slowing down the growth, and in fact, we are essentially flattening the curve because we don't want to stress the structure. But the interesting thing is the red line, because the red line shows that, yes, we have admitted more students, but the quality has not suffered. In fact, for 3 years in a row, we had the best quality of students we ever had. Now, this is a very rough definition of quality, it's one of these standardized tests, but it certainly gives a sense. I was talking before with a group of parents, some of you may be here, and members of the President's Circle. I was at a conference, a higher education conference on Wednesday, and I was almost embarrassed in showing how good Chapman is doing. So I'm getting to the point in which when I talk to audiences outside our own university, I kind of tone it down a little bit. Oh, we're doing okay. Yeah. Well, you know, there are challenges in higher education. And it's remarkable. I think the reason for this is because we try to prepare ahead. Now, if you're like me, though, these numbers are interesting, but eventually you forget the specifics. So I want to give you at least one story that embodies what Chapman is doing and why this is such a special place. And this is a story that begins 6 years ago in a 6th grade school. And there is this young student, her name is Ellie Wilson, and her teacher, Mrs. Craver. And Mrs. Craver gives a very nice assignment, I wish I'd done it for my kids, which is to write a letter to your future self. And so this girl writes the letter, which contains a lot of dreams. I think one of them was to marry a singer in One Direction. And I had to ruin the positive mood that didn't happen. But one of the dreams was to receive a scholarship and go to Chapman University, because she had grown in this area, and when she was a kid, she found a little keychain with the Chapman image, and she became enamored of the school. Well, Mrs. Craver has this great tradition that 6 years later, when the students are almost ready to leave, she mails back these letters to their kids. And so, I guess you know where the story is going to go, but there is a little twist. So, and in December, on a Thursday, Ellie received the letter from her teacher. And I'm sure it was kind of tender for her to look back and see how, you know, naive and hopeful she must have been 6 years later. But the great thing is that Friday, she got a letter from Chapman University that admitted her with a scholarship as a Dean Scholars. So here is Ellie. I think we have here both Ellie and her teacher. Okay. Will you please stand up? Thank you. Thank you, Ellie, for dreaming of coming to Chapman. I think you see how the community is welcoming you. And thank you, Mrs. Craver, for being such a terrific teacher. Thank you so much. We spoke about the Dean Scholarship. As I said, I was before with our President's Circle, and we had another student talking about the kind of scholarship that allowed him to come to Chapman. So how do those scholarships happen? Well, they happen because of your tremendous financial support. Virtually, unequivocally one of the strongest in the nation for a university of our size. Here you see some of the results for the last several years. We were really ecstatic last year to receive more than $100 million between gifts and pledges. And when you see our students, when you see our facilities, when you see the kind of thing that we can bring together, you realize why this is a good investment. At this point, I'd like to ask our members of the Board of Trustees and governors and parents who are supporting the university, as well as alumni, if you could please stand. And I see Andy and so the gifts you give us, the support you give us, goes to different purposes. It supports our students, supports students like Ellie to make sure her dream can become true, or like Gianmarco that we heard from a few minutes ago at the President's Circle. Only came because of the scholarship, and this was the only school he really wanted to be. But of course, also you help us with our facilities. We mentioned the Musco Center a few minutes ago. I want to show you here our newest facility, which is going to open in a few months, the Keck Center for Science and Engineering. It's going to be the largest facility on campus. I'm proud to say that it's going to be built under budget, something that maybe we should send a letter to our Congress and to our state legislature. It is indeed possible to build something under budget. And it's going to be built on time. So, and much of this is due to our friend and Vice President for campus planning, Chris Olson, who is here with us today. Thank you, Chris. Since you appear to like parties, put on your calendar October 11. October 11 is going to be the official opening. Of course, the building is going to be ready late spring, early summer, and then we're going to use the summer to put the furnishing and the lab equipment so that by the fall, we can actually open for classes. But October 11 is going to be the formal opening. And I want to say thank you to Dean Andrew Lyon of the Schmidt College of Science and Technology. Andrew has done one of the most difficult things, which is to find ways to allocate the space and to design the building, to help the designer design the building in a way that will be effective and satisfactory for both faculty and students. And you're thinking, well, there are what? 140,000 new square feet. That should be fabulous. You just move people and there's going to be a lot of extra space. Well, no, apparently there is no extra space anymore. I have to still figure that out. In a few minutes, in fact, around an hour from now at 12:30, we will also celebrate another major milestone in the history of Chapman University by formally naming the College of Educational Studies the Donna Ford Atalla College of Educational Studies. Dean Grogan, who is here today, and I are inviting you to please join us at 12:30. We're going to open officially again Reeves Hall, which has been redone over the last 12 months, and officially inaugurate this new naming for the college. We spoke before about great teachers. Well, Donna has been, besides being an alumna of Chapman, she's been a teacher for 40 years, between kindergarten and first grade. Those teachers that really shape those young little kids. I remember when my girls were in kindergarten and then later on in first grade. And Donna and her husband, Fami Atalla, have been such tremendous supporters of the university. You all walk in the Atalla Piazza, and you remember the 4 big pillars that represent the pillars of Chapman education. And there is a writing on each one of those pillars that comes from Donna's late husband, Fami. And so, because of the continued support, in excess of $10 million, we are now really happy to name the college formally after Donna. Another name that you should be able to recognize, because you probably parked in the Lassinger parking lot, parking structure, I should say, or because you went to the Lassinger athletic complex for some of the games, is the name of Erin Lassinger. And just a few months ago, we opened our new tennis courts. The reason for the new tennis courts is that we had to build a science building over the tennis courts were, so we moved them. And now, thanks to the generosity and the vision of Erin, we are actually able to boast the best tennis complex in Division 3. It's a spectacular place. I hope you'll have a chance to visit it, see some games, and I'm happy to say that working with Terry Boswell, our athletic director, we have been able to make the Lassinger Center accessible also to members of the community in the city of Orange. So there is at least one member of the community that writes me periodically and happy because he's able to go there and play. Others are, but at least one. To the next slides, which is the fact that our beautiful Musco Center received an award, and Chris Olson and I were happy and honored to receive it from Old Town Preservation Association, the Good Neighbor Award. And I'm pleased to see here with us the president of Old Town Association and our mayor of Orange, Tita. Both the Old Town Preservation Association and the city have been great partners with us. We have had our differences, but we are working, as always, like good partners to to move forward, and I think some of the things that I will mention in a few minutes will demonstrate the good faith of Chapman as we improve and work for the growth of the mutual growth of the city and the university. So you heard some of the language before on untapped possibility, untamed potential. These are part of the reading of the brand anthem, as they call it, and how big ideas are created. And so this is a perfect segue into our research operation. Big ideas lead to what kind of research we do. This particular slide is something that makes me really proud. The university, in addition to being a fantastic instructional place, is a place where we create constantly new knowledge. And this is important not just because it's a boasting right that we acquire, but because we want to take to the students in their classroom not just something we read in other books, but something we have created. And when you look at these numbers, they show how dramatically the growth has been of our, what they call the research expenditure. This is considered to be the best way to judge the way in which a research university grows. You look at how much external grants are spent every year to progress with the growth. And this number, you will see year after year, is going to grow in significant ways. We have a relatively new vice president for research, and part of his goal is really to grow those numbers. Why is the research important? I think, as I said, there are two fundamental reasons. The purpose of universities in this country is not just to transmit knowledge. Kaplan, I think he is here somewhere. Oh, here he is. Thank you. Hilly Kaplan is a relatively recent hire. He's now a member of the Argyros School of Business and Economics. He's a world-class anthropologist, and the work he does here is about Alzheimer's and aging, and is based on studies that he actually conducts on a very remote population in Bolivia. And this grant, this National Institute of Health, is actually the largest federal grant that Chapman has ever received. Thank you, Illy, for being with us. There is, of course, an interesting question here. What is an anthropologist doing in a business school? But I leave that for you to ask Hillary. And I have the answer, actually. It's an interesting one. Grants are very important, but in some areas of our work, we don't get grants because there is no need for money to perform certain kind of research. And so another important indicator for us are our citations. Is anybody reading what we write? We claim that we make an impact. We claim that our research is impactful and significant. Well, how do you know? Well, these numbers show that it's increasingly successful. Those numbers, if you look at this in 2000, the collective work of the faculty at Chapman was cited 180 times. This means all around the world, people were reading stuff, and 180 times they would say, I saw this idea in that paper, and that paper was written by somebody at Chapman. And now we are at 4,700 citations every year, and that number is destined to climb even further. It's a beautiful exponential curve, so we can just go seeing more and more steep. Now, the hardest part of this presentation was not what to put in the presentation, but what to throw away from the presentation. So I have a list here of achievements, and it's just really a very small sample of what we could say about Chapman. I want to take this opportunity to thank Jamie Seaman, our new Vice President for Strategic Marketing and Communication, and Christina Marshall, my associate, for helping put this together. They're both here. And I think the hardest job for them was to say, no, Daniele, out of this shouldn't be there. So I'll move quickly. Our rankings, wonderful rankings. You heard me before about this. We are now number 5 in our categories. And more important, we are growing in our reputation, which is the hardest index to move. So people are paying attention to what we are doing. We are very proud of what we have done with our professional career placement. You may remember when I was speaking on this stage last year, one of my commitment was to the growth of our career opportunities, because I think it's very important when we graduate our students, we need to be able to bring them to that stage. The stage that we just described, where they sit there and they finally have to give the well, we need to help them get there. And so we are doing a really terrific job, and I'm very proud of the work that all the community around us is doing, especially all of our alumni, that are committed to the tagline of Think Chapman First. That's what we ask all of you to do. Whenever you have a job opportunity, think Chapman first. We have tremendous talent here. Our Dodge College is nationally renowned, is now moved from number 7 to number 6. Bob Asser, the dean, is here, and it certainly deserves recognition for this achievement. But what makes a college, especially in the film industry, what makes a college famous and successful is the quality of the alumni. And Bob and I have been talking about this for many years. We'll be successful only when people will start recognize our alumni. And here we have two fantastic examples. Justice Simeon, you may remember, class of '05, he's the director and producer of Dear White People, first as a movie, and now a very successful Netflix series. And Yasu Tanida, class 2001, who is the cinematographer for This Is Us, that is candidate for many awards at the Golden Globes. And then, of course, you may remember, if you attended our event for Chapman Celebrates, the Duffer Brothers. If you're big, yeah, you can applaud. If you're a fan of Stranger Things, that's okay. I'm a big fan of Stranger Things. It's the modern version, I guess, of the Twilight Zone. I still watch some of the Twilight Zone every once in a while. But so this is a part of our success. But the Dodge College is not the only successful unit we have on campus. Our Fowler School of Law has done tremendously well, especially when we consider the quality of the students they are able to bring out and their bar pass rate. That bar pass rate is particularly significant because we know that the California bar exam is the hardest in the nation. Thank you to Matt Parlo, our fearless dean of the Fowler School. Law schools around the country are struggling, and we are being really blessed to have somebody like Matt at the helm in a situation in which he's actually able to strategically think how to move the school forward. And so we are very grateful for that. The business school has done terrific. It's in the top 100 business school nationwide. Very remarkable when you think that virtually every university has a business school. And for those who want to send undergraduate kids, we should add that they're actually the #1 undergraduate business school in the West. So this is a tremendous achievement. And Tom Turk. Oh, there is that. Tom Turk is our dean. Thank you for the tremendous work. And thank you for hiring people like Hillary Kaplan. Continuing, this is the hardest slide for me because of that name. I will struggle to give. Very proud that we are graduating our first class of pharmacy. It's been a beautiful, though rather long road, and the planning of the pharmacy school and the creation of the pharmacy school. The board has been incredibly supportive. The school is doing very well. It's receiving a lot of grants, and now we are ready in just a few months, in a couple of months, to graduate their first PharmD class. Just a terrific, terrific success story. Yeah, the dean is not here today, so I think it's a work, unlike some of the other deans. So a plus for Ron Jordan. Crean College. I mean, there is so much stuff I could say about the Crean College. One that is not on this slide, I'm so proud of what they're doing with their PA program, physician assistant. This is a program that really is tremendously important for the community, and it's providing the kind of workforce that we need. And this really is the brainchild of the Dean, Janine Hill, and I see also Janine there. And like every other program, like this, the stroke boot camp that I point out here, these are programs that are really designed to serve the community. The PA program, I should say, they have a 5% admittance rate. So we could actually multiply by 20 and still get a really 20 good classes, but we just don't have the space or the ability for that. School of Communication, last year I announced the creation of the new School of Communication. They're our newest unit. And even though they're brand new, they already have a new bachelor degree that is going to start in the fall. It's a joint operation actually between the School of Communication and the Wilkinson College. And it's in global communication and languages. And I want to compliment Dean Fury from the Wilkinson College and Dean Sparks from the School of Communication for the partnership. those of you who know university know how difficult such partnership can be, because everybody tends to be a little bit territorial, and I think this is an example of why Chapman is such a special place. And then a year later, we're going to also open the first PhD in communication, which is going to be the fourth PhD program on Chapman. We have one in education that started in 2006, one in computational science in the Schmidt College, one in pharmacy. In addition to the PharmD, we have a research PhD, and now the PhD in communication. And we are very excited about that. College of Performing Arts, and we have here our dean, Giulio Ongaro, fellow Italian. Though that's not his only claim to fame, but we celebrate this year the 10th anniversary of the college, something that gives me great pride because Bill Hall, who is here as well, he was the founding dean of the college, and I remember when in the fall of 2006, I went to Bill's office and I said, I don't understand the structure here. We have theater somewhere, dance somewhere else, and music on its own. These are the ingredients for a great college of performing arts. And he agreed with me until I told him, I'd like you to be the dean. And he said, whoa, whoa, whoa. I thought it was a good idea. I didn't see that I had to work for that. But eventually I kind of twisted his arm, and he became the first founding dean of what is now an incredibly successful operation. And Giulio is just bringing it to new level, also taking advantage of this fantastic facility. This is a bittersweet picture because one of the finest members of our senior staff, Becky Campos, is retiring. Boo. And yeah, actually, I'm grateful to her because she wanted to retire 2 years ago. And I pleaded with her that she wouldn't leave me alone during the transition. I said, I have so many things to learn, so many new projects to tackle. I can't imagine having to deal with a new structure of human resources. So she was very kind to stay a couple more years, but now I don't have any more good excuses to keep her here. And she just received the Western Regional Lifetime Membership Award for extraordinary service to his institution. And you should know that the nomination came both from us here at Chapman and from Caltech, which was our predecessor, previous institution. So we're really proud. And I love this picture. I love this picture because it captures really the enthusiasm and the warmth that Beck has given to all of us. Thank you so much for your incredible service. I can't talk about all of our faculty and what they do, so I'm picking just one. That's Victoria Carty from the sociology department that is working with a doctoral student to bring education to our juvenile hall. One of the problems we always talk about is this high school to jail pipeline. And we all talk about it and we all are desperate about it, but Victoria believes that there is something one can do, and what can be done is education. And so she's actually bringing students, not only Gregory, who is a PhD student, but also some of our undergraduate students there to work with those kids and offer them a possible alternative for what's going to happen when they get released. I think this she really is an unsung hero of the university and the community. She received recently another award given by the Angels for her work with Higher Ground, with Joe Baldo, another organization that works with kids at risk of gang activity in Anaheim. So these are the things that warm my heart because it shows where the heart of our faculty really is. Now, I don't think, is Victoria here? I told you we're trying to get rid of slides, and as we get rid of slides, then we get the news that the graphic design program is #1 in California. So back one slide goes in. Eric Cimenti. I have to tell you, Christina Marshall was very upset with me because the task was to take out slides, and then I said we need to put one more. So, and this, by the way, is the poster that you all will receive. You know there is this beautiful tradition. Every year, the students of a senior class make posters on a theme that we ask them to consider. In this case, the theme is the Keck Center for Science and Engineering. And this is the winning poster. And you get a copy as you get out, and it's really beautiful. And I want to close this list of accomplishments with one that I'm particularly fond of. This kid, Sammy Fitzgerald, worked for many years with her mom in Chicago. And Jim is smiling because he knows the background story. And work with their family, with their mom in Chicago on a beautiful project. They have kids from underprivileged schools write letters to Santa. And then they find donors that actually buy the toys for these kids. And it's a gigantic work. So now Sammy moved from Chicago to here. Her mom, Michelle, was a good friend of Jim and then a friend now of mine. And I know that she's actually listening to us today live. So we love you, Michelle. Thank you for what you've done with your daughter. And so Sammy came and developed this program here. And then she found out, I think with a degree of panic, that they had almost 1,100 letters and 1,100 toys, expensive toys to buy. But with the help of her sorority sisters, they actually made it happen. And so one day in Anaheim, they were able to distribute these 1,100 toys. The other beautiful part of the story, of course, is Santa, which is me. So I hope you appreciate that. I needed to get a picture of me in. So I let my beard grow a little longer. Some of my trustees complained. They said it's not really appropriate, but grew a little bit, and then I performed. It was actually a wonderful experience with these kids, just incredible day. Some more about what we heard before from Craig and our brand anthem. We are here for the commitment that we made to our students. And you heard before the point to experiment boldly. That's what Victoria is doing. When Victoria goes into juvenile hall, she's both thoughtful about what she's doing and she's bold in her desire to experiment and find a solution to such an apparently intractable problem. And this is the perfect segue for our strategic plan, which is going to be the final part of this presentation. The strategic plan has been approved by our board in December, and we are preparing fully bounded copies that we'll be able to share with the entire community in a few days. And I want to just very quickly tell you what the plan is about. What are the priorities of the plan? They're listed here. The first is the creation of the Fowler School of Engineering. I know that we have a Fowler School of Law, so we have to be very careful in specifying which Fowler School we're talking about. We can't simply say like we do now, the Fowler School. The change of the profile of students, we'll say a couple of words in a moment. The expansion of and the strengthening of our research agenda. The optimization of our campuses, and that's a very important aspect of what we're going to do. And finally, what's going to support all of that, and that's a comprehensive fundraising campaign. This is a beautiful picture of what our CAC Center looks like, and if you look at the left side of the picture, you see that block that is going to belong to the engineering school. Originally, the plan was to only build fully the science component to keep this as a shell for future ideas. Well, Chapman, the future idea is already here. So we now have to finish it up. The school will open, by the way, in 2020. The evolving student profile, what do I mean by this? Well, we know that the number of students graduating from high school is plateauing. So there are less students that are going to be available for the schools that are trying to grow. And the number of first-generation students might not be able to pay the kind of tuition that some universities charge, is also growing. So that creates a kind of a scissor effect. We need to be able to attract and adequately provide for a different kind of student mix that we are used to. And so that's what these operations are about. We have to reconsider how we recruit. We have to reconsider how we partner with community organizations that help us provide the student with the support that they need. Those of you who were yesterday night at the Legacy Dinner may remember that the student that spoke explained how she was coming from an association that gave her some money to come to Chapman, and we matched those funds. So those are important partnerships that we need to put in place. This is really a fundamental component of what we're going to do to ensure constant growth, to ensure that we are not responsive but really anticipatory as a possible potential problem that will come up. This is part of our larger emphasis on diversity and inclusion. I have to share something about this that really struck me. Our operation, we started 3 years ago saying, well, we need to rethink how we work with diverse communities on campus. And Joe Slovensky and I put together what we thought was going to be a small task force, which has grown to more than 300 members of the community. So 300 between faculty, student, and staff have been working. And the outcome of the work has been so successful that WASC, our accrediting agency, the Western Association of Schools and Colleges, asked Joe Slovensky to actually give a workshop to teach other universities how you deal with this issue. I'm extremely proud of that. And I'd like to, I know that Joe is here together with Erin Pullen. Joe and Erin, please stand up. Thank you. Now we are the model university. I like that. Talking about the kind of partnership we need to make, you saw part of the brand anthem. There is a little video of me with Bob Carr, the founder of Give Something Back Foundation. Wonderful foundation that is helping us work with first-generation students. And actually, I know that there is a group of first-generation students here that has been just admitted. Can I have them stand so that we can show them? Oh, here they are. Thank you for being here, and we welcome you really warmly to our community. I spoke about research. Tom Pihota, our new Vice President for Research, has been making significant efforts not only to grow the amount of federal funds that we are receiving, but to infuse Chapman Fund into our research operation. There is another one of the 1,000 charts that I wanted to show you that actually show how Chapman is participating in equal parts of the growth of the research operation. And what you see here behind me are the different aspects that Tom Pihota and his office will work on. In particular, faculty development, which means support for faculty who have ideas to test them out with small in-house grants. Support for student research, which has always been one of my fixation. We need to have the student engage in research because that's how they really learn and how they really struggle and understand the complexity of their discipline. Economic development is something we have really never done before, so that's going to be a new branching for the Office of the Vice President of Research. And finally, support for the incredible research technology that we need. Quickly about the campus, we have several tasks ahead of us. We have to finish up the CAC Center. We have to build more residence hall. I'll be talking about that in 1 second. That's a commitment we have with the city. We told them that we wanted to have at least 50% of our student housed on university property, and that's what we are doing. The Rinker campus has grown beautifully, but now we are at a point in which we need to provide student services, and I'll speak about it in a second. And finally, we continue the modernization of the Orange campus, whether it's the refurbishing of Hassinger Hall, or today you'll see what we have done with Reeves. I think you'll be impressed, and what's going to happen with Smith Hall next year. Housing. 2 new projects, of which we are very proud. The one on the left, Chapman Grand in Catella Avenue. It used to be called Catella Grand, and now we call it Chapman Grand. And I like it so much that I wanted to call it Struppa Grand. But then we have a fun hater here on staff, the Vice President for Advancement, who said, no, that would cost you $25 million. So we are back to Chapman Grand for the moment. And it's a spectacular facility. We house 900 of our students. West Village, we just broke ground recently. We saw the images the other day at the Real Estate Committee. It's going to be another fabulous facility for 400 of our students. And of course, we are looking for people willing to name those, given that I can't name Chapman Grand. Somebody else will have to step up with that. Rinker campus, the picture you see on the left is what we'd like it to be. It's not yet that. Right now we are occupying this building here, 9401, and this one, 9501. And this beautiful green with the Chapman window is actually a parking lot. But we bought this parking lot, and so now we'll be able to transform this into the beautiful window and move the cars outside. And what we like to do is to take this building that we already own and make it into a student services building. One portion is already being used for our Brain Institute. We own also these, U3, U1, and 9701 in Geronimo. We own all of those buildings, and we are developing plans for how to use them over the next several years. One more thing I want to mention here on campus, the rethinking of what the library of the future will be. As things evolve, the library will take different roles, and I asked Charlene Baldwin, who is the Dean of the Library, and Helen Norris, Vice President for Technology, to think about what this future can be for the university, to engage the entire community in those discussions. We are moving, in 2020, we'll be moving the dance department across from the building you see there. That's the new residence hall that we're building now. And across there, we're going to have the new dance expansion. And part of the reason for that is because we want to make new space for the Hilbert Museum. It's been one of our successful enterprise. Right now, the Hilbert Museum is just this portion, and we're going to essentially double the space. It's been receiving the People Love Award on Yelp. It's just a tremendous operation. How all of this is going to happen? Well, and this is going to be my last slide is going to talk about the campaign. We are launching a $500 million or $500 million, whatever number description you prefer, fundraising campaign. It's designed really to satisfy the needs that I described. It's designed to provide endowment money to support our students. It is very important. It is designed to support our modernization of the campus. And it's going to be a comprehensive campaign, so not just the traditional capital campaign that only go in capital projects, but as you see here, to programmatic needs, research institutes, and student support. All of this will only be possible with the help of everybody in this room and beyond, of course. I challenge you to join me and our trustees and our senior staff in making this possible. We believe, as the tagline says, that at Chapman really anything imaginable can be done. I hope you'll be with us, and I look forward to seeing you in a few minutes at the opening of Resolve. Thank you.